Okay, let's unpack this. We all have a pretty clear picture of what family means to us, right?
Yeah, usually.
But what if your entire understanding of who your relatives are, who you can marry, or even where you live after marriage was completely different?
Hmm. Hard to imagine sometimes.
Today, we're diving deep into the intricate world of social organization.
It's a fundamental topic.
Our mission is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from a fascinating chapter titled Social Organization from Human Societies. A brief introduction. We're going to explore how societies arrange themselves into groups, defining everything from kinship and family to marriage, and even how power and resources are distributed.
And it's fascinating stuff.
Get ready to challenge some of your assumptions and discover the incredible ingenuity of human social structures.
It's true. While every society on Earth has some form of social organization, the sheer variety in how they approach kinship, marriage, and group structures is truly remarkable.
Hmm.
This deep dive will highlight not just what these systems are, but critically, why they matter so profoundly to the daily lives and long-term success of communities worldwide.
So let's begin with the blueprint. Social organization itself. This is simply how a society structures itself into various groups. Think kinship ties, marriage bonds, or other non-kinship organizations.
Right. And it also encompasses how inequality, status, and rank play out.
It's distinct from political or religious systems, though, of course, those often influence how these social structures function.
Absolutely. And this immediately makes us wonder, why is kinship a cultural universal? Why does every society have it?
Good question.
It's fundamental because it provides a map, a guide for understanding relationships. This map tells you who your relatives are, influences whom you can and cannot marry, dictates your status, impacts inheritance.
Right, and even says behavioral expectations. You certainly treat your father differently than a stranger, right?
Exactly. A kinship system provides this framework, organizing and classifying people. And descent groups are a key way societies formalize these connections.
Okay, let's zoom in on the core of connection. Families and households. Broadly, a family is a group of relatives by blood, marriage, or adoption.
Pretty standard definition.
But more specifically, it often refers to relatives living together. Most of us are familiar with the nuclear family and,
Right.
Immediate parents and their children.
Very common in Western industrialized societies like the U.S.
And it offers advantages like autonomy and mobility, right? Easier to move for jobs and stuff.
True. Then there's the extended family, which includes a larger group of relatives living together, perhaps parents, children, grandparents, aunts, uncles, the whole lot.
This is much more common in many societies outside the Western world. What are the advantages here?
Well, more hands for labor, potentially more income streams, built-in childcare.
Yeah, closer loved ones, easier to pass on oral traditions too, I imagine.
Definitely. The downside, of course, can be a greater possibility of conflict when so many personalities are living in close quarters.
Makes sense.
And beyond these, the source touches on variations like blended families, where fragmented families come together after divorce and remarriage.
Like the Brady Bunch, sort of?
Kind of. An increasingly common single-parent and same-sex families in Western societies. Regardless of its composition, the household is the key unit here.
Okay, the household.
It's the primary residential unit, serving as the center for everything from economic production and consumption to child-rearing, education, and, well, shelter. It's the physical and social heart of family life.
Got it. Now let's get specific about who counts as a relative. You have consanguineal relatives, meaning those related by blood, your parents, children, grandparents.
Right, blood relatives.
And we can break these down further. Lineal consanguineal relatives are in a direct line up and down, like your grandparents, parents, and children.
Straight line, yeah.
Then there are collateral consanguineal relatives, those on the sides, like aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Exactly. To help visualize this, imagine a kinship diagram. It usually puts ego at the center.
Ego. Like me.
Well, whoever you choose is the starting point. Ego is just the reference point from whom all other relatives are identified. So ego's mother is directly above ego. Her sister would be a collateral relative to ego.
Okay.
Then we have affinal relatives, those related to ego by marriage, like your spouse and all your in-laws. This diagram helps map out that whole web of connections ego is part of.
Right. And those cousins, for many of us in societies like the U.S., we just call them cousins, maybe first cousins, second cousins.
They're recognized, but not usually super central to our social structure.
But in most other societies, they're crucial and classified into two distinct types. Cross cousins.
Okay, cross cousins.
These are the children of your parents' opposite sex sibling, so your mother's brother's children or your father's sister's children.
Got it. Opposite sex siblings' kids.
And parallel cousins are the children of your parent's same-sex sibling, your father's brother's children, or your mother's sister's children.
Same-sex siblings' kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so this might sound like a puzzle.
It does a bit.
But in many cultures, these distinctions are absolutely fundamental for things like, well, who you can and cannot marry.
Wow. Okay, that leads us to another really powerful concept. Fictive relatives.
Ah, yes, fictive kin.
These are people who aren't actually related by blood or marriage, but are considered family for some reason. Think of your Uncle Jay, who isn't really your uncle, or your godparents.
Or soldiers in a unit might call each other brother.
Exactly. Why do we do this?
It's often an honorary title, you know. It affords status and implies real responsibilities and support, creating strong social bonds where maybe biological ones don't exist.
And the implications can be huge.
Incredibly significant. The chapter gives an example of Native American tribes removing members whose kinship was found to be fictive, costing them tribal benefits like casino income. Or this fascinating case in India, where unrelated men and women might become fictive siblings through a ceremony just so they can socialize without any scandal.
Huh, interesting.
But then a sexual relationship between them would be considered incest. It just shows how deeply cultural these definitions are, shaping behavior and societal norms.
So we've seen how individuals can extend the idea of family. But what about how entire societies are structured based on these relationships? That's where descent groups come in.
Right, they form the backbone of larger social organization.
Every person belongs to a lineage, which is a group of lineal relatives from whom one either descended, like your grandparents, or has descendants, like your children. How these are tracked varies, though.
It does. First, you might have unilineal descent, tracing ancestry through only one side of the family.
Just one side, okay.
If it's through the father's side, it's patrilineal descent, forming a patrilineage.
Makes sense. Father's line.
If it's through the mother's side, it's matrilineal descent, forming a matrilineage. If you picture a diagram like figure 6.2 in the chapter, in a patrilineage, children, both male and female, belong to the father's lineage. The mother's side is excluded for that lineage purpose.
Right, so you follow the dad's line. What's the other way?
The other major approach is bilateral descent, where ancestry is figured through both the mother's and father's sides simultaneously with no inherent bias.
That sounds more like the system in the U.S., mostly.
It is, though sometimes a subtle patrilineal bias remains, like when a wife traditionally takes her husband's last name.
True.
Now, if we connect this to the bigger picture, these descent groups can be organized in increasing levels of complexity. Beyond the immediate family and lineage, you might have clans.
Clans, like in Scotland.
Sort of, but anthropologically speaking, clans are groups of lineages claiming common descent from a more remote, often legendary or cosmological ancestor, like bear or eagle. You can't change your lineage or clan membership.
Okay, bigger groups based on supposed common ancestry.
Exactly. Now, some societies take this organization even further. If clans are organized into exactly two huge groups, each group is called a moiety.
Moiety, M-O-I-E-T-Y.
Yep. The clans in a moiety often share some common element, say the bear and deer clans being part of a mammal moiety, while eagle and crow clans are in a bird moiety.
Ah, okay. Two big halves.
And like clans, moiety membership cannot be changed. If clans are organized into more than two such groups, each is called a phratry.
Phratry. Okay, so more than two divisions.
Right. Phratry membership tends to be more flexible, but it's actually not a very common form of organization globally.
So what does all this mean for the people in these societies? I mean, clans, moieties.
It carries huge weight. Membership in these groups defines group and personal identity, sets rules about marriage like you often have to marry outside your clan or moiety.
Ah, exogamy.
Precisely. It structures political power and even assigns responsibilities for things like ceremonial cycles. For us, with our generally simpler bilateral system, it can be hard to grasp the depth of these obligations.
Yeah, it sounds complex.
Consider the Puebloan societies in the American Southwest. One moieties is traditionally responsible for summer ceremonies, the other for winter. Failing to carry out these duties, that could be considered catastrophic for the entire community.
Wow. Serious responsibility.
And this system has actually supported their successful adaptation to a desert environment for over 2,000 years. So it highlights its profound effectiveness.
That's incredible.
And often, these clans, moieties, and phratries will claim an ancient ancestor, adopting a totem, usually a spirit animal or other entity embraced as a guardian.
Like the Bear Clan example.
Exactly. Members of a bear clan, whose totem is the bear, might refrain from killing or eating bears, while other clans have no such rule.
Interesting. And the chapter mentioned this can act as a kind of conservation measure.
That's right. By having different groups avoid hunting different animals, it can actually reduce overall hunting pressure on specific game animals across the territory. Pretty clever, really.
Very clever. Okay, so these structures lead to different ways of classifying relatives. Anthropology recognizes 7 major kinship systems, right?
Yes, 7 main types, each with unique variations for how relatives are named and categorized. While descriptively your father's brother is your father's brother, each system assigns them a specific term in their own language, which tells you about their classification. Let's look at a few that offer striking contrasts.
Okay.
The Hawaiian kinship system is bilateral and primarily based on generations. What's fascinating here is that everyone in your parents' generation is called mother or father.
Wait, everyone. Your aunt is mother. Your uncle is father.
According to the kinship terminology, yes, and everyone in your generation is brother or sister. Now, of course, people know who their biological parents and siblings are.
Right, and who they can actually marry.
Absolutely. But it led to some classic misunderstandings. The chapter mentions Christian missionaries in Hawaii being completely confused, thinking men were marrying their sisters. It's a great reminder not to impose our own cultural norms.
Definitely. What's another system?
Well, in contrast, the Eskimo kinship system is also bilateral, but it strongly emphasizes the nuclear family. It distinguishes clearly between immediate family and more distant relatives, using terms we recognize like aunt, uncle, and in-laws.
So that's basically the system most of us in the U.S. use.
Pretty much, yes. Then you have something like the Iroquois kinship system, which is unilinear, generally matrilineal. Here, your mother's sister is also called mother.
Okay, like the Hawaiian system in that respect.
Yes, but crucially, her children, your parallel cousins, are called brother or sister. But your mother's brother's children, your cross cousins, are called something different, maybe just cousin. The terminology reflects the lineage structure.
So the terms themselves map out the social structure.
Precisely. And there are others like the Omaha, Crow, Sudanese, each with unique ways of classifying kin, often linked to descent rules and marriage practices. These systems directly shaped one of the most fundamental human institutions, marriage.
Right. Marriage. Another cultural universal, the chapter says?
Yes. A formal union sanctioned by society that establishes rights and obligations between people, their children, and often in-laws.
Well, romantic love is a fairly recent idea driving marriage choice.
Historically speaking, yes.
Many societies still arrange marriages for practical reasons, like forming economic or political alliances.
Absolutely. Marriage serves numerous crucial functions. It creates a family unit, formalizes relationships, acts as an economic entity, often with a sexual division of labor between spouses.
Yeah, who does what?
And for many, it's about reproduction, providing legitimacy for children, establishing responsibility for their care and education, regulating sexual access, and forming or reinforcing political ties between families or groups.
Lots of functions. And societies have specific marriage rules, don't they?
Oh, yes. Prescriptive rules tell you whom you cannot marry.
Like the universal prohibition against incest, which is marriage between immediate family members.
Exactly. Though historically there have been rare exceptions, usually among royalty, trying to keep power and purity within the family line.
Okay. And the other type?
Prescriptive rules. These tell you whom you must or should marry. Think exogamy, where you marry someone outside your group, like your clan or moiety.
We mentioned that.
Or endogamy, where you must marry someone within your group, maybe a specific social class, religion, or ethnic group.
Got it. Inside or outside the group.
And a powerful example of these rules in action comes from Inuit societies. If a spouse dies, the surviving partner often has to remarry quickly.
Why so quickly?
Because the traditional division of labor between men and women is so interdependent in that Arctic environment. Hunting versus processing hides, childcare, etc. Neither could easily survive alone for long.
Practical necessity.
Exactly. This leads to things like the levirate rule, where a widow marries her deceased husband's brother, or the sororate rule, where a widower marries his deceased wife's sister. It keeps the household functional.
Wow. Okay, moving on to the types of marriages. Most fall into 2 broad categories: monogamy and polygamy. Monogamy is where each person has just one spouse. This is the most common form numerically, even in societies that permit polygamy, and it's the only form formally recognized in North America and most of Europe.
Though in places like the U.S., we often see serial monogamy.
Yeah, where individuals have a series of partners over their lifetime, just one at a time, through divorce and remarriage.
Then there's polygamy, when one individual have multiple spouses simultaneously. This is actually permitted in about 80–85% of the world's society.
Are we 80–85%? That's huge.
It is, and it's actually the most preferred form worldwide, culturally speaking, even if most individuals within those societies practice monogamy for economic or social reasons.
So what are the types of polygamy?
The most common type is polygyny, where a male has multiple wives. This can be a way to assert wealth and status, increase labor potential for the household, lead to more children, and generally increase family wealth.
What are the downsides?
Well, greater possibility of conflict or jealousy among co-wives. And certainly it's expensive to support multiple wives and their children.
I bet. What's the other type?
The other type is polyandry, where a female has multiple husbands. This is very uncommon, practiced by fewer than a dozen known societies, often in places like Tibet or Nepal.
Why would that happen?
It can serve to limit population growth in resource-scarce environments. It can alleviate pressure on resources or prevent family land from being fractured among many sons if a woman marries multiple brothers. That's called fraternal polyandry. It also provides more male labor for the family.
Fascinating. The chapter also mentions a really unique system among the Nayar in India.
Ah, yes, the Nayar of southwestern India. It's a classic anthropological example. Nayar men traditionally never formally marry in the way we think of it,
No marriage for men.
not in the residential sense. The women go through a ritual marriage with a Brahmin man, sort of a surrogate. But the marriage isn't consummated and confers legitimacy on future children. Women live in their mother's matrilineal household, with their mothers, sisters, brothers, aunts, and all their children.
So where do the men fit in?
Men establish ongoing romantic and sexual relationships with women, visiting them in their homes. They father children, but have no economic or social responsibility for their biological children.
Or none. Who takes care of them?
That responsibility falls entirely to the women's brothers within her household. The brothers provide financial support, while the women and other household members handle the labor. All children are considered legitimate because their mothers are ritually married.
That's completely different. It really shows how flexible these structures can be.
It absolutely does. It's a system that clearly worked for their specific social and economic context for a long time.
And thinking about marriage in the Western world, the chapter highlights how it's been continually evolving. Historically, it was strictly monogamous male-female union.
Right.
While polygamy is technically illegal, some groups still practice it sub rosa. Divorce, once highly stigmatized, is now largely normalized.
And with people living longer, we see higher rates, leading to that serial monogamy we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. And even same-sex marriage, which was unthinkable legally in many places just decades ago, is now legal in numerous countries.
It's a powerful reminder that even what seems fixed about social organization is often dynamic and subject to cultural change over time.
Okay, so once married, a couple needs a place to live. This brings us to postmarital residence. There are three main forms, right?
That's right. First is patrilineal residence. This is when the couple lives with or near the husband's family. The bride moves to his community.
And this is common where men dominate subsistence, you said?
Often, yes. And it frequently involves bride wealth. This is where the groom's family gives goods, money, or livestock to the bride's family. It's seen as compensation for her leaving her family and her labor.
And if they divorce, does the bride wealth get returned?
Often, yes, or at least part of it. It can stabilize the marriage in that sense.
Okay, what's the next type?
Then you have matrilineal residence, where the couple lives with or near the wife's family. The groom moves to her community. This is common in many horticultural societies, where women's labor is central.
And the chapter mentions dowry here, but defines it as compensation for the loss of the husband. That seems different from the usual definition.
It is a bit unusual usage in the source, yeah. Dowry more commonly refers to wealth a bride brings into her marriage, often from her family. The source seems to be using it here as the counterpart to bride wealth in a metrolocal context, which isn't standard anthropological terminology, but reflects compensation flowing from the incoming spouse's family.
Okay. And the third type?
Neolocal residence. This is when the couple establishes a new household separate from either family.
Like moving into their own apartment or house.
Exactly. This is common in industrial and post-industrial societies, like the U.S., where independence is highly valued and couples often move away from both sets of parents for work or preference.
Makes sense. And sometimes marriages formally end, divorce.
Yes. And it impacts not just the individuals, but the household structure, children, and often extended families. The simplicity or complexity of divorce varies hugely by society.
While some cultures don't formally permit it, the chapter notes it often happens anyway.
Right. Which illustrates that classic anthropological distinction between ideal culture, the rules, and actual behavior, what people really do.
And divorce rates are climbing globally, especially in industrial societies. Any theories why?
The chapter suggests one factor is simply that people are living much longer now compared to, say, the 1800s. Marriages potentially last for many more years, increasing the statistical chances of issues arising or people growing apart.
That's a pragmatic way to look at it. Okay, but social organization isn't just about kinship and marriage, right?
Not at all. People also form groups based on non-kinship-based social organizations.
Meaning groups not based on family ties.
Exactly. These can be based on things like sex, gender, age, profession, shared interests, or just necessity.
Mhm.
We see obvious groups based on sex, gender, or sexual orientation, especially in Western societies, like women's clubs or LGBTQ plus community groups.
Age is another huge one, leading to age grade groups.
Yes, where members pass through categories together as they age. Think school grades in our society, first grade, second grade, etc. Or broader categories found in many societies, like child, adult, and senior or elder.
These are cultural universals, the chapter says, and membership isn't optional.
That's right. You automatically belong to an age grade based on your age. Transitions between grades often involve ceremonies, like initiation rites or puberty ceremonies, marking the significant shift from adolescence to adulthood.
Okay, then there are sodalities. What are those?
This is another cultural universal for non-kinship-based organizations founded on a common interest, activity, or occupation. Membership here is generally voluntary.
So like clubs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think professional associations, sororities and fraternities, sports teams, service clubs like the Rotary, or even the military.
They all have entrance requirements usually.
Right. You have to meet certain criteria to join. And interestingly, some sodalities, like a sorority or a military unit, will explicitly use fictive kinship terms like sister or brother among members.
Ah, to build that sense of closeness and loyalty like we talked about with fictive kin.
Precisely.
Okay, now let's shift gears a bit and turn to a topic that exists in every society, though its expression varies wildly. Inequality.
A universal feature, unfortunately. It refers to differential access to resources, power, wealth, status, opportunity, and the like.
We see it everywhere, right? Based on age, sex, salary, privilege, political power. I mean, children aren't considered equal to adults anywhere, really.
True. Societies with relatively little inequality are called egalitarian societies. These are often smaller-scale societies, like hunter-gatherer bands. Inequality exists, but it's generally informal, based more on individual differences in age, sex, and ability.
So a skilled hunter might get more respect or a larger share of meat. A persuasive speaker might be listened to more.
Exactly, but there aren't formal, rigid structures of inequality. Then you have stratified societies.
Stratified, like layers.
Yes, these societies have prescribed and institutionalized inequality, with formalized social strata or layers. Inequality is built into the overall social structure. This can be vertical, like generational differences, or horizontal, based on things like sex, age, or clan membership.
Okay, so if it's institutionalized, what forms does that inequality take?
Well, we can look at the class system. This is a social structure with usually 3 or more levels, think lower, middle, and upper class, generally based on economic factors like wealth, occupation, and education.
And you're usually born into your parents' class.
Typically, yes. But crucially, a class system allows for some degree of social mobility. You can potentially move up or down the ladder through ability, education, luck, or achievement. This is the kind of system we see, ideally at least, in places like the US and UK.
Okay, so class allows some movement. What's the contrast?
The contrast is a caste system. This is also a social structure of ranked groups, often tied historically to a specific profession or occupation. But here's the key difference. You were born into your parents' caste, and there's absolutely no social mobility.
None at all. You're stuck.
Traditionally, yes. You remain in that caste for life, and you typically must marry within your own caste, endogamy. There are often strict rules about interaction between castes, things like not being allowed to enter higher caste homes, not sharing food, which historically resembled systems like apartheid.
Wow. The Indian caste system is the classic example, right? The chapter mentions figure 6.5 explaining it.
It is. Though legally abolished in India in 1985, it still functions socially in many ways, especially in rural areas. You have the Brahmin caste of priests traditionally at the top, down through warriors, merchants, laborers, and then the Dalits, or untouchables, at the very bottom, historically forced into polluting labor, like fishing, cleaning, and scavenging.
And the chapter mentions another system in Mexico based on biology.
Yes, resembling a kind of feudal system with ranks based partly on ancestry. What's clear in both class and caste systems, though they differ in mobility, is that there's often a strong desire from those in the higher strata to maintain the status quo, to limit opportunity for lower strata, and often to extract labor or resources from them.
Right, keeping the system going benefits those at the top. Okay, finally, let's touch on status and rank.
Very related concepts. Status is your sort of informal place or standing in society. It's based on various criteria like age, sex, education level, wealth, perceived ethics, contributions to the community.
And your status can change over your lifetime, right?
Absolutely. It's dynamic.
Right.
Rank, on the other hand, is a more formalized status. It means you hold a specific position within a defined hierarchy, and that position comes with specific duties, rights, and responsibilities. Think of military ranks, private, sergeant, captain, or political offices like mayor or senator.
Got it. Status is informal standing. Rank is a formal position.
And the chapter gives that amazing example from the Native American groups on the northwest coast of North America.
Oh, yeah, that sounded incredibly complex.
It really is. They have a system where practically everyone is ranked. You have a rank within your immediate family. Your family has a rank within its lineage, the lineage within its clan, the clan within a moiety, the moiety within the village. And even the villages themselves are ranked relative to each other.
Good grief. How do they keep track?
It's maintained and often challenged through elaborate ceremonial feasts and gift-giving events called potlatches, where status and rank are publicly asserted and affirmed.
Wow. Okay, one last distinction. Achieved versus ascribed status or rank.
Right. Achieved status or rank is earned through your own talents, actions, choices, and efforts. Becoming a professor, a skilled artisan, a police officer, maybe even elected chief in some societies, those are achieved.
You worked for it.
Exactly. Ascribed status or rank is given to you, usually birth, not earned. You don't choose it.
Mm.
Being born into royalty and automatically becoming a prince or princess is the classic example. Or being born into a specific caste.
So it really highlights the vastly different starting points people have in different societies, doesn't it? Profoundly shaping their opportunities from the moment they're born.
Absolutely. It underscores how much these systems of social organization structure our lives.
Wow, that was a truly expansive deep dive. From the intimate bonds of kinship all the way to the broad strokes of social stratification.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
We've seen just how profoundly societies organize themselves. Every society, big or small, has these systems, and they're all essentially about creating order, defining roles, and determining access to resources.
We've covered so much, from the basics of nuclear versus extended families to the intricate classifications of cousins and that quick look at the 7 major kinship systems, through the many forms and functions of marriage, and finally the pervasive reality of inequality, class, caste, status, and rank. The incredible variation across the world truly reminds us that there's no single right way to organize human life.
And that, for me, is the biggest takeaway. The sheer ingenuity and diversity in how humans have chosen to structure their lives, it's really quite amazing.
It is.
So as you go about your day, here's maybe a provocative thought to mull over. How do the unspoken rules of your own social organization, the ones you probably take for granted, shape your opportunities, your identity, your relationships?
Good question.
What assumptions do you make about others based on your own system, maybe without even realizing it? And how might understanding this global variation challenge some of those assumptions?
Food for thought.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
It's been a real pleasure unpacking these insights with you. Stay curious.